So, Josh, like, where did it start in real estate for you? You say you've been in the game for 15 years. What was before that?
So I went to school to be a health and phys ed teacher, gym teacher,
Oh, wow.
and definitely thought that was what I was going to do. I would teach and coach. I loved coaching, and I still do that. I coach. I have 4 kids, so I've coached. I've been coaching youth and even high school sports for years and years now. But I haven't been a teacher for my oldest is about to turn 17, and
Mhm.
I stopped teaching when he was born. Um, what got me interested in real estate is my wife and I bought our first home.
Mhm.
I never really thought about this until literally this week. I guess you could say that we were house hacking before that was like a cool thing, because we bought a little Cape Cod house in the suburbs of Philly, and we rented out. It was a 3-bedroom, and we rented out 2 of the bedrooms to our high school or to our college friends that were also living in the area. We would not have been able to afford the house if we weren't, because I was teaching, she was student teaching when we bought it, so she didn't even have an income.
Mhm.
And we sold that property in 15 months for like 35,000 more than we purchased it for. And all we did was paint and carpet, like literally, and maybe, I don't know, maybe kitchen counters, but it's not like we did any major renovations or anything. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's more money than my salary for the year.
Mhm.
Um, and that was kind of like the first light bulb. Then we did it again.
Mhm.
We bought a bigger house, and we did some minor cosmetics. We decided that we wanted to move back to my wife's hometown area, because we
Mhm.
were thinking about starting a family, and we made like 45 on that one in 9
Mhm.
months. Now the market was going wild, right? And I didn't realize that it was dumb luck more than anything, but that was at least what got my attention and what sent me down the path of reading. I think the first real estate investor guru that I followed was Russ Whitney. Those of you old heads, you might know that name. And then went down the Robert Kiyosaki rabbit
Mhm.
hole. And I think for me, the thing that like I can vividly remember looking at my teaching contract, and it has a scale of basically what you're worth. And the breaking point for me was, yeah, I'm not going to let this piece of paper decide what my income is for the rest of my life. So
Mhm.
I started as an investor. So we did those 2 deals on personal residence, made some money, but then I started buying properties. I bought a 2-unit. I partnered up with some guys. We renovated a bunch of homes. Probably did over, I don't know. I've done close to 100 renos. I've wholesaled several hundred properties. At one point, I had 60 some doors as a
Mhm.
landlord.
Mhm.
And in that process, got licensed primarily to work with investors. But what I realized through all of it is the thing that I'm most passionate about and what I get most excited about, and for me has become like my sport, for lack of a better term, is marketing. So the
Mhm.
marketing for how to strategically attract clients, grow a database, nurture a database, and um, so many real estate agents are reliant solely on their sphere of influence and past clients and sort of chasing that business.
Mhm. Mhm.
And though that is a pillar of my production currently, because I do actively still sell. I have a small team here in Central PA, and then I also have a mortgage team that works in uh, over 20 states. But so I still get business from that, but those that rely solely on that, I think, are slowly dying, right? So having
Yeah.
having proven standard operating procedures for how you acquire new clients. Like that is me. That's what I'm always like thinking about and tinkering with and wanting to learn about, and what I've taught and coached and been helping agents with since the late 2000s. You were chatting, I think, before we went live here, that you may have been on a free webinar or class of mine over the years. That's what gets me excited, because that kind of fills that teaching role for me. What the fulfillment of why I got into teaching to begin with, but without the income ceiling that unfortunately most teachers are capped with.
Yeah, I was just about to ask, what do you enjoy most about teaching, coaching?
Being able to impart a thought or idea and helping someone make that connection, and then actually, I'll relate it to, so I have 4 kids. My oldest son is about to turn 17. We have a younger son, he's 14, and then I have 2 daughters, 12 and 10. I coach my 12-year-old daughter's travel basketball team. And this is my second year coaching. It'll be my last, because she'll go to middle school after this year. We had our first game this past weekend for this year, our first league game. And I just like smiled the whole game, because we were doing the things that we tried all of last year to get them to do. They were actually like doing it. And I was just like a proud dad. I'm like, I don't care what the score says. Like, this is a win. They're actually doing the things that we've been trying to get them to do. Like, hallelujah. And I feel the same way when I share an idea with another agent, and a day later, a week later, a month later, a year later, they're like, hey, I took that idea and this is what happened. Like, to me, I get more fulfillment out of that than directly working with clients. That fulfills me, and though it is financially rewarding, it doesn't fill my soul, for lack of that's kind of cheesy, whatever, but it doesn't give me the same level of, just excitement and fulfillment as, helping someone else to then duplicate that thing. So
100%. Yeah, 100%. My mom was so she retired from being a teacher, and she said it was always, I would say, fulfilling, working with the kids and seeing them to go on to graduate. And the ones so my mom, she taught in a very rough school district, and not a lot of students wanted to learn, but you could see I would say like the spark in her eye when she found a student who was like really into, so she taught math. And so when a student was really there, really paying attention, doing all the homework and really wanting to learn, asking questions, it's like, it like fills you guys up with joy. Like, I feel like teachers, it fills you guys up with joy to see somebody really putting in the effort to learn whatever topic you guys are teaching.
Yeah. It's like, it's like a spiritual paycheck, like a different kind of fulfillment than the checks. Although the commission check on the real estate side, those are nice too, but just a different type of fulfillment, let's say.
Yeah. And so transitioning over to the marketing side, which campaign, when did you first realize that, oh, wow, like I'm really good at this marketing thing and I really find joy in it? Was like a certain campaign that you ran and found success?
Yeah, so great question. So I came into being a real estate agent different than most, in the sense that I was already investing. That's not necessarily different per se, but I partnered with an agent who had created, or it was almost like a franchise, but it was more of a licensing model, where he had proven marketing material and systems, etc., for building a real estate agent practice around helping investors. So I came in from a marketing perspective to begin with. And that program was not cheap. It was a lot of money for me at the time. I mean, it's all relative, but you know, we had literally just had our first, my oldest had just been born, and I just quit teaching. Which funny side story. I actually took paternity leave at first, and my principal was like, "I didn't know that existed, but it says here in the contract you can do it, so I guess, you know." So that was my way of sort of trialing. You know, can I go at this full time? And my wife was on maternity leave because she was the one actually having Kay. So it was, you know, it was a little scary. Anyway, I invested a lot of money into this program, and a lot of the actual marketing was also expensive. So you pay all this money, and you pay this monthly amount for the licensing fee. And oh, by the way, you got to spend all this additional money. And so I was looking for cheaper, or I had more time than I had money. So I started building my database and generating leads with Craigslist, which is it still exists today. Back then, old Craig was not as strict with the platform. So I would run listings, run ads or post ads, and I would drive them to a landing page, which if I could find what those looked like back then, they were something. Call them a landing page. But I was getting people's attention. I was getting them to go over, and I was getting them to give me their name and email. So I was building this database of people that were interested in investing in real estate. And I think back then, one of the things that I was offering that was working really well, which honestly, I still have students today that are doing this, is just a list of foreclosures in my market, right? And they're looking at a foreclosure, they might be interested in investing. And so I built a database completely free around that idea. And the guy that I had been licensing his marketing and stuff, we would do, I don't know if it was weekly or monthly, we'd do these mastermind calls, right? And I would share what was working with me, and he started to have me sort of guest speak, because I wasn't the only one, shockingly, that didn't have the same amount of capital to do some of the more expensive marketing campaigns that were part of that. And that is where I started to realize that, like, the marketing aspect of it is what really got my juices flowing, and really was of more interest to me. And so I ended up creating an informational product, a training program on how I was doing that, how I was building a database on Craigslist. And I still occasionally get people to say, I bought that thing. Back then, this was like 2007, 8, I would like physically mail them the course. It was like DVDs and like a manual, like, how the times have changed. But that's really where I sort of honed my marketing skills, and then being able to communicate or translate those skills where others could duplicate the same results is really, I mean, I would say that was life-changing for me. And it also didn't hurt that I was, in my first year being licensed, I was like the rookie of the year in the office. In my second year being licensed, I led the office in sales. And so it wasn't just that I had this cool idea, it was actually generating business for me, right? So I was taking what was working for me and just sharing it with others and creating an additional revenue stream around that, the work I was already doing, which is kind of what I do today, quite honestly. I do the work and then I share what works. And if people want help, we've got different ways we can help them. Many of them free, but some of them, if it's more hands-on implementation, things of that nature. So.
Yeah, 100%. I was going to say, like, I was going to ask, you answered it. Do you feel that fundamentally what you were doing hasn't even changed from the Craigslist to today? Because of from what I got from that Craigslist campaign that you were running, you found a platform that a lot of people's attention was on and your consumers were on. And then you basically figured out a way to get their attention on that platform to a point to where then you could develop a database out of the people that were on the platform. And so it seems like with a lot of the marketing campaigns that I see today, it's that same concept. It's just the platform, and obviously technology and everything is changing, but fundamentally you're not doing anything different.
What 100%. The cat's out of the bag, right? I mean, it's literally the same principles apply. The platforms change. The mediums and modalities that you follow up with change. Like, we couldn't do retargeting back then, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that, there are things that didn't exist then that do now. But from a big picture perspective, get people's attention, make them an offer that they're interested in, give them the offer, right? Don't bait and switch them, actually deliver the thing they asked for, and then continue to provide value through entertainment, information, or a combination of both until they decide that the time is right and they could use your help, whether it's buying or selling or financing, or it's not even real estate related. I mean, that's what any marketing is for really any business is getting their attention, offering something of value, and then delivering on that initial promise,
Mm-hmm.
and continuing to whether you want to call it nurture or follow up or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
do the work to create a sense of them knowing, liking, and trusting you, until the point where the only natural conclusion is, they ask you for some help.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a house to sell. Can you help me? Or my daughter needs to buy a house. Can you help me? Right. So yeah, 100%. In fact, I have this is like the original. This is the original sort of cheat sheet for my marketing, and it still works today. Create an account on the platform of your choice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Choose the campaign or what you're going to offer, create that, implement the campaign, follow up, and then just track and improve on your results. Same today as it ever was.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I bet you a bunch of people that, a bunch of people, the couple of followers that I have, I bet you they're like screenshotting that, screenshot.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's old. That is old, but still valuable today. And I actually wrote a book. So I wrote this book a few years ago. You can find it on Amazon. It's called Attract: 4 Simple Steps to Engaging Your Ideal Client with Zero Prospecting. The mistake I made in writing the book is I did provide too many, let's say, a very specific tactics that change, right? So, Facebook is changing all the time. TikTok, I don't even think existed when I wrote that book. But the core principles, the 4 core steps, they are the same today as they were when I wrote it in, I think, 2016 or 17.
Yep. It's so interesting. My girlfriend and her boss, like I've developed a really good relationship with her boss, because they have a really great relationship and we're constantly with each other. They always make fun of me because I constantly talk about fundamentals. And so I came from the sports world too. And that was just every single coach that I had. He's like the difference between Michael Jordan and the guy that didn't make it to the league is Michael Jordan spent a ridiculous amount of time just going through his reps on the most basic fundamentals that had to do that came along with being a basketball player, from dribbling to shooting to passing, rebounding, defense, all the fundamentals. He didn't do anything. He's a very special individual and very
Sure.
iconic in our world. But it's like when you break it down that simple, it's like, wait, that's all he did? Like he just, mastered every single one of those fundamentals. And that's why he was phenomenal on top of the creativity that he has and the gifts and talents of, athleticism that he
Well,
has.
but I think you'd agree there have been many players in the NBA and players that didn't make the NBA that physically were as talented as him, but not mentally and not from a discipline perspective, and just the consistency of putting in the work. And what struck me was, so we got this is slightly off topic, but when you do the kind of work that he did to create the kind of legacy that he did, this is what can happen on a different level. We got once a month, we get like a Dick's Sporting Goods,
Mhm.
whatever. And we got the Christmas one. And on the top, center middle, is a jersey of Michael Jordan. Dude hasn't played in the NBA in 22 years or something like that. He retired in
Yep.
2001 or 2. And
Mhm.
he's still that iconic. And it is because of what the obsession of just putting in the work and doing the work and doing the work and doing the work and doing the work. And you know, yeah, there's something to be said for just the consistency. You can do the
Mhm.
wrong, or you can do things in an imperfect way, and if you do them long enough, consistent enough, with like, you know, just like, a dogged mindset, you're still going to get results.
Mhm.
Versus trying to find the new whiz bang shiny object, this, that, or the other thing. Um, and yeah, I mean, that's part of the curse of real estate, right? Because there are so many ways
Yep.
you can grow your business, which is wonderful on one hand. It also, for many, creates confusion and can get them off track, etc. And it's something that I fight with.
Mhm.
Is the new shiny object, or doing this, that, or the other thing. And just because I went down that path, the thing that I try to go back to is, as long as what I'm doing is doing one of two things: growing my database, or quote unquote nurturing or growing my relationship with the database. As long as
Mhm.
one of those two things is happening, or both of them ideally on a daily basis, I'm moving in the right direction.
Right.
How you do that, there's lots of ways, right?
Yeah.
There's really endless number of ways. Because you could
Yeah.
you could find agents that are killing it on long form YouTube videos, and agents that are killing
Mhm.
it on short form video platforms, or agents that
Mhm.
just do paid ads. I mean, there's any number of
Mhm.
ways. Find what works for you, and then just commit to the fundamentals inside of that strategy.
Yep.
Just do it and do it and do it and do it.
Yeah. I've literally seen, Josh, um, top producers and the CEOs or broker owners of top producing teams that have gotten to that level through literally, I'm trying to like go through all of the different ways of marketing, literally almost all of them.
Yeah,
From content marketing, I mean, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with Levi and Mike Sherrard.
of course.
Uh, yeah, Levi, Mike Sherrard, where they're heavy on video marketing, YouTube, deconstruct the content until it turns into micro content. I'm pretty sure yourself, and I believe I was introduced, Joseph introduced me to your business partner, Ryan Hartman, who was
Yep.
explaining Google ads, Facebook ads, to the cold callers, to the door knockers, the open house people, Josh Smith, who runs the mega open house. It's like you see a
Yep.
superstar in every single one of these types of marketing tactics to achieve that fundamental that you're talking about. It's like let's put people in the database, and then let's nurture the database until it turns
Yep.
into a transaction. Do you think with more technology, obviously the AI that's coming out and that is out, social media platforms changing, do you think it's harder than it was back then to market?
It's certainly noisier. It's a more crowded market, especially digitally, which means it's even more important in my opinion and experience. It, this might be easy to remember. Three C's to keep in mind with your marketing. It has to be compelling. It has to be congruent to the audience that you're trying to connect with, and it has to be consistent. If you're doing those three things, you have a drastically better chance of succeeding. And also, strategically, is there or are there platforms in your market or with the audience that you'd like to connect with that maybe are less crowded or, that less noisy.
Mm-hmm.
We've been doing a lot more direct mail as
Mm-hmm.
part of our follow-up, not necessarily for lead generation, but deepening relationships with people that we're adding to our database, in part because their physical mailbox is a lot less cluttered
Mm-hmm.
than their social media inbox or news feeds, etc. And so it helps us to differentiate ourselves versus others that may be also trying to compete for their attention
Mm-hmm.
and ultimately, their business.
Yeah, that's good. 3 C's. I like that. My vision with these podcasts is to have it be the cornerstone of creating a community of individuals like yourself, not only top producing, I want to say like practitioners in the real estate world, but also I'm starting to reach outside the real estate world and talk to like CMOs of Fortune 500 companies and bringing them on and getting their methodologies and strategies and tactics that they're running and, to have the successful campaigns that they're running.
Sure.
With that being said, I'm bringing lots of genius to this community. And is there any challenges that you're experiencing, either marketing wise or business wise, that I would say if you were to fix that thing, it would, give you an uptick in your business?
Yeah, wow. What a great question. For me, I think I struggle with the same that many do, is at times shiny object syndrome, and at times consistency, and
Mm-hmm.
being willing, not even willing so much as having the patience to let something work. In other words, too often, and again, myself included, I'll implement a strategy and end up punting on it before I've really given it a chance to work. And so one of the things that I have on my list of things to commit to in 2024 is to do fewer things, do them better, and do more of them. Better and more of fewer things, and just consistently committing to the action and disassociate myself from the instant gratification or the idea of getting that instant gratification from X or Y or Z. Doing the right things over the long term yield results. It's almost impossible not to get, if you're doing the right things over a long enough horizon, it's virtually impossible to not succeed.
100%.
So
100%.
yeah, that's what popped up for me with that question anyway.
Mm-hmm. What do you think is getting in the way of the consistency? Like you being consistent? Is it just a personal?
Just the same noise that we were just talking about.
Oh,
I mean, I just, like everybody on here, I got a news feed full of people selling things and telling stories and everything else, right? And so,
mm-hmm.
Whether it's moments of weakness or it's just the uncertainty that can come from the industry that we're in at times, or combination thereof, you can end up going down a rabbit hole that a day, a week, a month later, you're like, how did I get here? Why am I even, and then realizing, maybe I should get back to the basics or the fundamentals, things that I already have proof of working for me, not just working, because as you said, and that, you reiterated the point of there's lots of things that can work. It's a matter of what works for you and what you have proof and evidence of working for you, and then just doing that work over and over and over, and committing to the action, not the result, the process, not the outcome.
Yep. I was literally, lastly, I was literally having this conversation with Joseph Lima yesterday. I talk to him often just because he's a great dude, and
He is a great.
still,
He is
yeah,
a great dude. No
yeah,
doubt.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And he said that going into the new year, he summed it up by saying, focus on the lead measures. Make your goals rooted in lead measures instead of the lag measures.
Yes.
And yeah. And it sounds like you're saying the same exact thing, where it's like, if you just stay focused on those, I got to dribble every day. I got to pass every day. I got to do my bounce passes, my chest passes, my overhead passes every single day. As long as I continue doing that, I'm going to keep leveling up my game. And so,
Yep. And
yeah,
do your best to put the blinders on and limit those outside distractions. Easier
yeah,
said than done, but a winning formula for sure.
100%. Josh, I appreciate the time, man. I really do. I appreciate
This was a
squeezing.
blast. I
Yeah,
appreciate your time. This was I got to share some stories I haven't shared in a while, and then do a little. Well, it made me feel old. I will say that. But beyond that,
sorry.
it was great. It was great. I appreciate it, and I'm grateful for Joseph for making the intro.
The intro. Shout out to Joseph.
Yeah, right on.